Now, the devs didn't add anything new into Season 7 here of Diablo 2 Resurrected, but that doesn't mean there's nothing new for us to do. Now I'm starting ladder off with a build I have never started ladder with before. You see this crossbow on the Sorceress right here. We're going with the crossbow enchant Sorceress. Now I have dabbled around with this a little bit offline. Now I had pretty much end game gear, so this could be a brand new, little bit of a struggle, a brand new experience for me, and that is going from the budget gear version of this all the way up to the end gear version here on ladder. Now just to clear up any confusion, now a ladder starter, in my opinion, in the way that I think about it, isn't the character that you play through the game with. You cannot play through the game with this particular character because you need one of two particular bows. I think there might be one other one, but it's not really practical. You either need Demon Machine or you need a Koku Kachako Kocho. You could do so. We'll just call it the Kuko. So I just wanted to make sure everyone understood there's the playthrough build, and then there's the ladder starter. Most people who've been playing for a real long time consider after you beat the playthrough the actual start of your ladder, or pretty much your ladder start build. But this is going to be a lot of the gear I'm going to kind of look for. I'm going to look at some different examples to go ahead and show you, and I'll put a link at the top of the description to the end game build with what I think is kind of the best possible gear for the build to get a good amount of damage and kill speed and survivability and magic find all combined together. So just to show you what I'm going to be looking at right here, this is an 85 character, a lot lower level than this. It's a little bit tough. If I find something early on, if I find one of these bows, I'm going to go into it. But earlier than this, it was a little bit sketch. So this is an energy shield sorceress build type. You can see the gold ball above her head. So that's why the resistances are so low. I try to get the poison up, but this is like budget gear, remember. So enough strength and dex to wear your gear and the rest into energy. Over on the skill tree here, enchant is where you get a bunch of fire damage added to that fire explosion. So you cap that out. You cap out its synergy of warmth, which also keeps your mana up, and fire mastery, bang. That's where a lot of your points are going. Now, at this point of the game, you don't quite have enough to fully cap these out, but I split them roughly half and half, not quite, but we got 15 hard points in energy shield, and we've got 10 into telekinesis. If you finish up all of the skill quests and then you get up a few more levels, you can have these go ahead and cap them out, and you got your energy shield ready to rock, good to go. Now static over here, I do have 1 point into it, but at this lower radius, it's almost worthless. I didn't want to put any more hard points into it, but I got the 1 point into it, so as we get more plus skills and get better gear, the radius will increase on that, and of course 1 point over into frozen armor. Now the most interesting part, obviously the gear. Now here I have the Demon Machine, and like I said, there's the Kuko bow that also has the fire's exploding arrow. Unfortunately, it only has 50% chance to pierce instead of 66, so if you have on something like I have right here, the Razor Tail, a really cheap to trade for type of item, you're only going to have 50, 60, 70, 83% chance to pierce with the Kuko. But with this one right here, 66, 33, it's 99. That's really close to 100, am I right? So with that right there, let's jump to some of the other ones. Up on the helmet, right here, I love getting magic find super early, like day 1, 2, 3 of ladder, by just putting gems into a 3-socketed helm. There's obviously going to be other options once you get better stuff later on. Wisdom right here is the one that I did mention. It is just behind me, no big deal. But you cannot be frozen there too if you haven't gotten it. So this might be something great early on. You farm Countess, get a pull, make this. You get the chance to pierce. You got some mana leech there just so your mana doesn't run out, I suppose, as you hit stuff. Mana after kill. And, just a ton of different things there to really help out your character. It is a great option for this particular build. Now, another option, this is pretty much the endgame version right here. We've got Flickering Flame. So you get minus enemy fire res and 3 to fire skills, resist fire aura if that will help you out. And you actually have mana, and this is the energy shield version of this, and you see down at the bottom, I'll lean a little bit more, poison length reduced by 50%, so that'll help you out even right there. Over on the amulet, I just crafted up the first caster amulet I could make. Crazy enough, got 16 FCR on it. It's a paladin one. Oh well, throw it on there. We get FCR, that gets us over a breakpoint actually, so that worked out nicely. Very nicely for us. Now the armor here, I got the skin of the Viper Magi. You can find this pretty early on, but they are very in demand in the first week or two of ladder, so it could be hard to trade for. So hopefully you can find one. If not, there's kind of a lot of the different standard type of stuff. If you're usually before this on most characters I rock is stealth, but there is a huge jump from a stealth to this on this build, really helping you out. The 30 FCR gets you to a breakpoint so you can teleport smoothly. You've got the magic damage reduced, and if you do take any of that damage over onto your life, maybe that res will help you out as well. I stuck a topaz in it to save me. You could go ahead and put a soul rune in it for more damage reduced to help out your survivability. if you would like. But this way I got at least right around 100 magic fund anyways. Over here, 1 to fire skills on the Mage Fist. I think this is pretty much a go-to for this type of Sorceress. There's going to be other options, obviously. I did find, actually, while I was messing around with this, we have increased mana on the Frostburns. It'll take us from 900 all the way up to 1300 on the mana. Mana's never really a difficult part of this particular build, though. So generally, there's other issues before you even need to worry about mana when we're at this high already. Now, for the rings, I do get my Cannot Be Frozen here from Raid Frost. This is what I'm going to try to do anyways. Unless up here I do have the Wisdom, which you can have Cannot Be Frozen already. So it depends what you find, but this is kind of sort of what I'm thinking I might go for right off the bat, because I think Raven Frost might be easier to get than maybe the Pull Rune early on, or I'm going to want to use that Pull Rune to trade for something like the Viper Magi. You know, I'm going to want to use that value. Right here, I just grabbed a random ring that had Poison Res on it, just to kind of show you just get what you can. You just do what you can, right? Sandstorm Treks over here. Yeah, this is going to be one that's a little sketch to get early on. I'm going to have to trade for. Maybe that's where the Pull Rune will go towards, or I'll probably just end up throwing some rare boots over here that have something on them. On the offhand, I do have a lower res wand if we want to go ahead and whoop, lower res, like, I don't know if we're going after Mephisto, or maybe we're trying to do a council somewhere, Andario, just to have it on there, because you might as well, you got the space. You notice I'm rocking this with no charms, because you never know what you're going to find, but any, you know, poison res, or maybe any resistances, life, mana down here, scalers, obviously, even though the damage goes to your mana, some of it will go over to your life, so getting the resistances to eliminate some of that will be beneficial. If you can get yourself a Sunder Charm as well, it's sort of unnecessary at times, you know, it's up to you. I keep it in my cube, pull it out when I need it type of situation. I will show off the mercenaries here too. Now, I decided to go with the cold mercenary because I'm so budget. Slowing the stuff down will help you out here. Even though it is energy shield, you kind of would want to go with the Prayer, Insight, Cure Helm for the same way that you do with the energy shield Nova Sorceress. But early on budget, you got to make sacrifices in order to make everything work the way you want it to. So I got the Holy Freeze Aura right here. We do have the Insight because it's the cheapest and best rune word to use on an Act 2 mercenary here. Late game, end game, you're going to be rocking Infinity. Probably that'll help you out. Now up here, I just run a Blood Helm. That way he gets some Life Leech. It's just a Ral rune and a Ruby, of course, the jewel, and this style of helm right there. Deadly Strike. Yeah, Life Leech, a little bit of life. Down here, I got a Treachery. If you can't get the Lem rune yet, you can't get the Treachery, just throw on anything to get yourself some resistances pretty much on your mercenary. Even just a Socketed Armor and throw in some runes to get you like Lightning, Fire Res, stuff like that. A Grizz Armor isn't a bad option because it has a lot of stuff on it, and along with the 3 sockets, you could throw in runes like I said, so some budget options right there. Now, before you go walk out, you want to go ahead and cast your enchant, cast your Chilling Armor, I believe it is, cast your Energy Shield, get enchant on your mercenary, and then go head out to farm your locations. Now, the first place you can go with this, and this is probably what I'll do at the beginning of ladder, that's going like a lot of sorceresses after the Countess. Now, she is immune to fire, but none of her minions are, so you can rip out all of her minions, and your mercenary can take her down no problem. Down to level 5, we'll show you exactly how that works. So there we go, our mercenaries kind of distract them, take out all of her minions, no problem. Mercenary gets after her mega quick. Now, he does have an elite base, but even with a sub-elite base, it still goes pretty good. There we got a key, we're getting ready to trade that. We got a Lum, you can make a rune word or trade that. That's a pretty nice little Countess run right there, especially if it's day 1 ladder. Now, once again, like a lot of sorceresses, you can go after Andario. The good thing with this is she has a weakness to fire that a lot of people are aware of. So you can take her down pretty quickly. Unfortunately, the minions around here are not immune to, or they are completely immune to fire, excuse me. So that can be an issue, but, ooh, poor mercenary getting beat up. When you got budget gear, stuff like that can happen. Take her down and hopefully getting good gear, or even better off if she's terrorized getting those crazy godly drops. Another place you can rock with this early on is out at cows. Now, I wish it was endgame so the static would actually do something to most of these cows, but even without that, you can see it does a good amount of damage. Now, this is players 1. With this kind of budget gear, players 8 is kind of out of the question, unless you get a few high runes worth of gear, at least getting like Flickering Flame and something else. You're gonna have a bad time out here, but just in general, blasting a little bit, taking out a few cows on P1, you can definitely do this. Cows isn't necessarily my favorite location to farm regardless, so I may forego it, I may not. We'll have to see how the season goes. Next up, for places I might be going to magic find here at the beginning of the ladder with this particular build, we're looking at the Stony Tombs. Now, there are no inherent fire immunes down here, so you can go ahead and blast them down. It's an 85 area. They can drop you every single item in the game, so maybe much like last season, I can get lucky with a Griffin's Eye drop. Maybe? But yeah, since you can find everything in the game down here, it's pretty common magic find area, specifically for fire types of builds and also for cold builds, because there's only that one creeping feature that is immune to cold down here, and there's not really anything else, unless you get real unlucky, one or two here and there will be. Next up that I might think about farming if I want to go ahead and make full key sets, you could run out here and take out the Summoner. He drops the other key. One was from the Countess, one from the Summoner, one from Neelathak, and you can take him out pretty easy. He's not really immune to anything ever, and boy, this luck is getting bananas here. So there's another key on the exact same run. One from the Countess, one from the Summoner. Next location I might think about doing, and that's obviously Eldritch and Shank. These guys are all immune to cold out here, but you can blast them down. They're not usually too difficult. Maybe we'll try to keep my mercenaries safe. Sometimes Eldritch will be immune to fire. It's unfortunate. You just kind of figure it out and or move on. And we got Eldritch down. Why don't we go ahead after Shank as well? You got to watch out. Sometimes there'll be those mited, super fast, extra cool ratted out here. Well, if it is, you just got to kind of move on from that. I wouldn't worry about it, but bang, take him out. You could always get lucky. Find yourself a Shaco or something out here. Speaking of not having your build perfect because I didn't do all this stuff on this character, you could go after Pindle right here. He's super quick, super easy. Unfortunately, I did not open the portal to him yet, but that is another place that I would go and farm. And this is Terrorized down here. This might be one that I kind of avoid because it's a little bit difficult. We'll have to see how it goes, but you could go ahead and go after Neelathak down here. So shoot, shoot, shoot. It looks like, oh good, he's not. Whoa, okay. Can't teleport. And here's part of the problem. Like I mentioned, look at the poison just gobbling this up. We'll just go after it and see what happens. Yeah, I eventually got destroyed there. He was almost down. This area might be a little too hard for this character when I'm this budget. We'll have to see. It's softcore. Maybe we'll try it out a few times. This is what I'm going with at the start of ladder. Let me know down in the comments what you're starting this ladder off with. I would say if you're disappointed they're not adding something new, why don't you go out of your way and try something new yourself? I guarantee 99% of people have not played every single build in this entire game. Make sure you hit the like button, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe up for future Diablo 2 Resurrected content. Peace out and keep slaying.